All right. And we are live coming off a Rams W in Seattle. They hadn't many of those last year. I can tell you that right now. I went live after every game last year. It was a lot of losses, but the Rams come away with the W in this one, 30-13 against Seattle, a team that was just in the playoffs, a team that a lot expect to make the playoffs, a team that thought a lot of people thought that offense was going to rip right through this Rams defense, but to no avail. The Rams actually scored 30 and they didn't have Cooper Kupp to do it. So we're going to talk about the wins and the winners and losers in this one, because there are a few, quite a few. Before we get into that, just letting you guys know, you can follow me at JK Bogan, and you can check out all my content on Twitter. I have a LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but I have a Linktree page right in the bio there. You can find all my stuff there. So the Rams won this game, and they weren't going to do it without the incredible play of Matthew Stafford, who went 24 of 38 and 334 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. It's one of those games where stats don't really tell the full story. He averaged 13.9 yards per completion, and Stafford was in his bag in this one. He was getting the ball to all different receivers. Even though his buddy Cooper Kupp was out, he was still able to make plenty happen. So Matthew Stafford did an incredible job today. And obviously, moving forward, that's the hope. That doesn't happen, though, without the offensive line. So Stafford obviously is a winner here. Madden rated him a 75 overall, the 22nd best quarterback in their video game. And I thought Matthew Stafford was one of the best quarterbacks we've seen throughout week one. So he'd be a winner for me. I think another winner is definitely going to be Kyren Williams. When you look at Kyren, 15 carries, 52 yards, he had 2 touchdowns. This is somebody that showed the ability to stand up no matter, how much he was getting contacted. He's got great balance, and we've talked about it. I've said it numerous times. This guy is going to have a serious role in this offense, and he actually ended up with 15 carries in this game, which, of course, the yards per carry average was not great. But at the end of the day, the 2 touchdowns being utilized, it was a good day at the office for Kyren Williams, who came away with 17.4 fantasy points. And, when you look at it, he's definitely a winner. He's a 5th-round pick the Rams traded to get. Last year, he gets a freak injury in week 1 on the kickoff and then misses almost most of the season. So now, first game of the year, this guy, he was out snapping Cam Akers for the majority of the game. So hats off to Kyren Williams there. And then you, of course, have to look at Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, both winners in this one. I think when you take into account what Puka Nacua did today, we've been talking about it, right? We've been talking about it for a while. Puka Nacua is somebody to keep an eye on. He's somebody to keep an eye on. He's somebody to, this is not just a 5th-round pick. He's way beyond his years. I watched a lot of Jaren Hall film at BYU when I was scouting him. Puka Nacua just kept jumping off the tape. So here's the thing. When you watch Puka Nacua, you thought, okay, in preseason, he looks good. But for me, I've seen how Sean McVay uses receivers the rookie year. You look at Tutu Atwell, didn't really get involved. I mean, Van Jefferson did even have 300 yards this rookie year. I don't think so. And so it kind of just set my expectations pretty low for Nacua. But the late 5th-round rookie receiver looked like a pro. He looked better than most receivers that played today. Puka Nacua had 15 targets and caught 10 of them for 119 yards. And he looked every bit like a Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp of years past. And I think it really speaks volumes to just how much work he has put in and just how experienced he is and how quickly, even if he doesn't pick up something, he wants to be around Stafford. He wants to be around Cooper Kupp. He's what Sean McVay would call a pro's pro. And, I think really what it comes down to when you look at Puka Nacua, his route running ability, obviously they used him a lot in the slot, which really opened him up. It's a lot harder to win on the outside, but it's not easy to play in the slot. And so Nacua breaking tackles, did a really nice job moving the chains. He had a really nice toe tap catch as well. And then, of course, another winner there, Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell needs to get more respect. We talked about it last time I was live on Bleacher Report. We talked about the 5 bold predictions I had, and one of them was Tutu Atwell going over 1,000 yards. Well, he got a pretty darn good start, going for 119 yards on 6 receptions. That's almost 20 yards per reception, and that's in the levels of a Deshaun Jackson in his prime. And when I said at the end of that, that whole spiel I had about Tutu Atwell the last time I was live here, I flat out said, look, people need to stop comparing him to Tavon Austin and start comparing him to a Hollywood Marquise Brown, and I think that's the thing. Okay. I think that's really, when you look at it, Atwell is somebody that can run routes. Sure, they got him in motion, they got him open, but you have an incredible play caller in Sean McVay that knows how to get things done. And that's what he did today. He took advantage of everything they had. I had mentioned in the last show, Tutu Atwell had a lot left on the field when you looked at the last Seahawks game. And last year, week 18, well, they took advantage of it this time around. He finishes with 119 yards on 6 catches. He's another winner. But we can't have all these winners on the offensive side. We got to have some winners on the defensive side as well. And a big winner here is Ernest Jones. For me, this guy looked like he was ready to lead from the get-go. He had 3 tackles for a loss. He was all over the football. This guy was playing with this just absolute dog mentality. And when I watched Ernest Jones last year and years prior, he's shown that. But I think, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think him being around a guy like Bobby Wagner is going to pay serious dividends moving forward. And I think we're seeing that again. And, I think when you look at Ernest Jones, a guy that can play in coverage, he can come up, he can rush the passer, he can stop the run. I think just having that guy in the middle, that tenacity, that tone setter, I think is really going to go a long way for this Los Angeles Rams. Really inexperienced, unproven defense, and I'm excited about it. Another guy here, Byron Young. Byron Young is a winner. Okay. We're going to have a lot of winners. We're going to have some losers as well, but Byron Young's a winner. In his first game, he got a half sack. He had one of the craziest pressures I've seen all day. And I watched a lot of football today. This guy was absolutely going after it. And he's the only one I really saw getting after the quarterback until both tackles went down. So I was really impressed, with what Byron Young was able to do, the rookie, and of course, Kobe Turner with the half sack. But when we go to the losers of this game, I'm going to start off here, go to the top here. It's Cam Akers. Okay. I've sung my praises about Cam Akers. I still think Cam Akers is that guy, but there were some concerns. You don't have 22 carries and 29 yards and come away thinking you had a good game. And that's just not a good game, right? Kyron didn't have his best game because 3.5 yards per carry isn't exactly the greatest either. But when you look at Akers, that is an awful average. Now, Akers, the last 6 games of last year, looked like one of the best running backs in football. So what changed? My theory here, I think Seattle sold out to stop the run. I don't know why, but they did. I think they put more, up front. I'll have to obviously look at the all 22 later on in the week, but I think they put more up front. They sold out to stop the run, and that's what we came away with, is that, look, okay, selling out, stopping the run, they're going to get those stops. They had guys in the backfield and everything. A lot of them, like LA fan 68 are saying, some carries were in garbage time with stacked box. Exactly. They're stacking the box. And keep in mind, to be fair to Akers, he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage repeatedly. Now, that's the loser there, just because of the gravity of the situation here. Another loser here is Van Jefferson. Okay. This does not mean Van Jefferson's story's written. This doesn't mean he's not going to be a Rams receiver. Week 2, he could come out and blow up. We don't want to overreact to week 1, but we do want to keep everything in perspective. And I think it's important to highlight Van Jefferson as a loser in this one, because the fact of the matter is this: that dropped, potential touchdown, that could have cost them the game. It didn't, because the Rams moved back from it. But if you think about it, those little miscues have cost the Rams games in the past. Seattle's always been that team. Even if you dominate them, they don't go away. So that was not a great moment there. Another loser, I would say, on the defensive side, excuse me. Another loser, I would say, and I hate saying this, but Darian Kendrick, that touchdown he gave up to DK Metcalf, those little things are going to get Travius Hodges-Tomlinson back on the field. Okay. He had a really good pass breakup the first time, and he had a nice tackle. But there were times where DK absolutely roasted him right off of the screen. And that's when you're going to have Travius Tomlinson right on your back. And so I think, when you look at the losers of this game, they're not a lot, but those are some guys. There's not really anyone else I can really say, except I would say the edge room, aside from Byron Young, it would also be a loser in this one. And I think the run blocking, to a degree, I think the pass protection is a winner in this one. I think the offensive line did an outstanding job of keeping Stafford upright. Stafford didn't even feel pressured much at all in this game. And so I just think collectively, when you look at this game and everything, you go through all the numbers. I mean, numbers of that, they're just numbers, but Stafford not having a touchdown and still coming away like I thought he played incredible. It's just kind of a showing like, look, this is what I've been saying, even though Cooper Kupp's out. Okay. And it sucks because Cooper Kupp, this is probably a 41, 42, I don't know, maybe even a 49-13 game. Like, what he does for the offense is incredible. But even though they didn't have Cooper Kupp, it's not like I'm just not going to believe in this offense, because what I've been saying all along is, first off, the offensive line last year wasn't that bad. What I mean by that is the offensive line ready to go week one was not bad. They dealt with injuries. They had two centers playing in their starting five. They had Brian Allen starting at center. They had Coleman Shelton starting at right guard. That's great. But the problem is, if your backup center's at right guard and your center gets hurt and your right guard gets hurt, now you're down to your third string center just like that. And that's what happened to the Rams. They also lost their left tackle, Joe Noteboom, at the time. So they lose Joe Noteboom. They try anchor him at right guard. And then he's out for the year. And then they finally get Alec Jackson going, and he's playing well at tackle. And then he deals with blood clots, and he's done for the year. David Edwards deals with concussions. There were injuries everywhere. So this new unit that has more beef up front is not just technician, but more mauler oriented, is actually better off in the passing attack. This unit played very well in the passing game. The running game needs work, but I also think Seattle sold out to stop the run. A lot of, heavy boxes up front, stuff that I wasn't expecting to see. But you also have to remember the last time the Rams played the Seattle Seahawks, the run game was ripping them up with Cam Akers. So I do get it from that perspective. I think moving forward, what people want to know is this sustainable? Is this Rams team that I just watched, are they actually good? And I think the question, the answer to that question is, yeah, I think they're actually good. I don't think this is Seattle's that bad. I don't think that, you're going overboard by saying the Rams could be a good football team. They have coaches that coached in the Super Bowl 2 years ago with this team. And I think at the end of the day, when you already see the pass protection, it takes a long time to build a rapport and to gel on the offensive line. And if they've already done that and they're playing at that level, I mean, Seattle has pass rushers. Nwosu's really good. They were blitzing Bobby Wagner. They have, Darrell Taylor. They have Boy Mafe. They just got the guy from Auburn whose name is Derek Hall, whose name was escaping me for a second. They have pass rushers. They have interior guys. The guy they just got from the Broncos. But this was a good performance. The Rams dominated Seattle. And finally, unlike last year, when maybe they'd get off to a decent start and the scoreboard wouldn't really indicate it, finally this year, they buckled down and they won the football game and took control. And so this is what I'm going to say. Okay. The Rams are legit after 1 week. Now, what do I mean by that? Their offense can beat anybody. And I mean that, anybody. The defense is going to be the question. And it has to be fair. I have to be fair to Seattle. They lost both tackles in that game. That's when the pressure started to mount. That's when they led to them getting -1 yards in the third quarter. But you can't take away from what Raheem Morris was doing. And we heard all week, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, Noah Fant, like whoever, right? Charbonnet, Walker. How are they going to stop all these guys? Geno just had his best season. How is this porous Rams defense, this unproven Rams defense, going to stop any of these guys? It's not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. It's not possible. But the fact is, it is possible. It always has been possible. First off, when you look at the rivalry games are always going to be decently close early on in the year. You don't know how good a team is. That's an important distinction here. You don't know how good a team is at the start of the season. I thought Pittsburgh was going to beat the 49ers. It was in Pittsburgh. They had a good preseason. They got a bunch of guys in the draft. They got a bunch of guys in free agency. I felt good about Pittsburgh going into that. They got trounced. The Cleveland Browns. I don't think anybody gave them a shot to beat the Bengals. They destroyed the Bengals. So my point is that you don't know until you know. And so it makes it really hard to go into a game without a lot of preparation, because you can prepare all you want, but at the end of the day, there's not last week's film to go over. There's vanilla preseason offense and defenses that you don't even, there's no point of even analyzing. So that's the thing there. Now, when you look at Seattle, Geno Smith had 112 yards on 16 of 26 for a touchdown, and he was sacked twice towards the end of the game. Just like really nicely done by the LA Rams. Geno Smith was somebody people had as a dark horse MVP candidate coming into the season. So keep that in mind. And then you have Kenneth Walker, who ran wild. So why did they stop running the ball? The Rams took him out of the game. The Rams took the running game out of the game. And how'd they do that? Well, the offense, aside from a miscue where they had a hold and then they get pushed all the way back because of a penalty, and now they have a 1st and 30 and they gave up essentially on that drive. Aside from that one drive, they kept it real every drive. And this is the thing that really gives me like excitement and belief in this team, is when you watch Sean McVay. I thought this was the most creative Sean McVay's looked. Simply put, I mean, the offense was not gaining a ton of yards through the ground, and they tried to establish the run early on. And even still, he tried to run the ball. He didn't abandon it. I mean, guys, how many times have people said, why can't the Rams just run the football? The Rams ran this ball 37 times with running backs. They ran the ball 37 times, 3 rushing touchdowns. So clearly, what ended up happening is that Sean McVay said, all right, I got to get better. Went out, got Mike LaFleur, and his influence led to this rebuilding of the offense. And this hapless offense last year that was like 30th in points scored, that didn't look like that offense today with the 30 points that they dropped. So guys, what I'm saying is it's early. It's week 1. There's a lot of, winners. There's some losers. It happens. Van Jefferson could kill it next week. Tutu Atwell could be bad next week. But week 1 does matter. It counts as a win, and it gives you momentum. And for a team that has been linked to tanking for a quarterback that's currently in college, to come out like that on the road to open your season and kick your rival right in the throat, That comes from a good coach. That comes from good preparation. And it's a good sign of things to come because you don't just do that. This was not a fluke. Matthew Stafford was dicing up the defense. He was in his bag. He was doing anything he wanted to do. DK Metcalf finishes with 47 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba, people were like, how are they going to stop him? Who's on hit 13 yards? Like, this is what I'm talking about. I thought this game was going to be a shootout, but I had the Rams winning. I wasn't surprised the Rams won. I was surprised the Rams won in this fashion, because to assume that they would blow out Seattle, that might have been a little bit of a push. But hey, that's what they did. They blow out Seattle. They get a really important potential tiebreaker win for the future. This is a team I've said is going 10-7, going to the playoffs, and could have a playoff run because of moments like this. When you are in these games, it's how you adjust. The Rams were losing this game. Don't forget, they were losing this game, and they came out. They responded. There was a chance they could go down by multiple scores. There's a missed field goal. Things change. The Rams turned it around and won 30-13 in dominating fashion. And now next week they got San Francisco, and San Francisco looks like, if not the best team in the NFL, one of the best teams in the NFL. And we're going to find out what that really is. We're going to find out how they are. We're going to find out a lot next week. But I think regardless of what happens against San Francisco, I think this team's legit. I think they definitely can win a lot more games than the consensus thinks. And I think it's because of good coaching. And I think at the end of the day, when you take these players, and we constantly hear the Rams don't develop talent, the Rams trade for talent. Puka Nacua was a 5th rounder. Tutu Atwell was a 2nd rounder. Everyone was calling a bust. They both go over. They both hit 119 receiving yards exactly. And it's the first time that's been done since, I believe, the 50s. So there you have it. Feel good. Enjoy the win. There's going to be a lot more where this came from. I'll be doing the post game for the next one. Hopefully we're talking the same type of tune, but I think final thoughts here. Feel good about this. This is not a fluke. I understand it's week 1, but the way Matthew Stafford was slinging the ball, that wasn't just he was feeling it that day. We've seen him do it countless times. Stafford's healthy for the first time in a while, really healthy. And Sean McVay, and that renewed, rejuvenated Sean McVay, is ready to light the world on fire. So I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks to Bleacher Report, of course, for having me. You can follow me at JK Bogan on Twitter. And I have all that stuff posted in there. Or you can Google me, Jake Ellenbogen. You'll find all my content. I'm on YouTube. I'm on kick.com. And I got 3 podcasts if you want to check those out. But until next time, guys, you guys take care. And we'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.